Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul Mackay from Analogue Wonderland, and today we're going to be talking all about Washi Z, one of the French brand's films, in fact one of the first films that they produced for 35mm shooters. We're going to be diving into its unique characteristics and why it is so much fun, especially at this time of year. Whether you are new to film photography or a long-time analog enthusiast, our channel covers all things film, from tips and tricks, film reviews to how-to videos. Subscribe now and keep those notifications turned on so that you never miss a beat. Happy shooting! Now, one of my favourite things about putting Washi films in the Wonderbox is that it gives me an excuse to talk to Lomig, the man behind the brand, the creator of Film Washi. And of course we bring in his opinion and his tips and tricks with customer reviews, with our own knowledge, with experience of the films to give you a well-rounded view of the film. And the reason I love talking to Lomig is because he is a wonderful human being, a brilliant film photographer, and also frankly hilarious. So for example, we said, look, we're going to put in Washi Z. What can you tell us about this film? Everyone's always really interested when it's a Washi film. He said, unfortunately, this is probably one of the most boring films I make. It's just not going to be as fun as other Wonderbox films. Yeah, so it was originally created for aerial vegetation mapping. And immediately I'm like, brilliant, brilliant. If that's the most boring we're going to get, we're going to have a lot of fun. So yes, when we got past that little mismatch of what boring meant, you get into some really funny things. So Washi Z, one of Washi's first films that was basically respooled from industrial film. This is industrial surveillance film, specifically for the goal of aerial vegetation mapping. Now, this is really important because it'll give you a lot of information about what this film will be able to do well or not well. Aerial vegetation mapping is important because it allows planes to fly over an area with a camera recording, taking photos of the scene. And then after it's been developed, obviously before the days of digital, the film can be analysed by experts and very quickly understand what kind of trees, what kind of shrubbery, what vegetation this land consists of. Obviously there's huge geological, geographical, agricultural relevance here. There's probably military as well, there always is. There's lots of different people who would be interested in knowing whether ground is covered with mostly fern or oak or birch, etc. But of course the problem is that, especially from distance, a lot of black and white films will just see a forest as very similar grey. So what you need is a film that can see a lot of difference between different types of green. And that is exactly what Washi Z can do. So you will notice, near infrared basically, it will get very good at differentiating between different colours and different shades and giving you contrast, where a lot of black and white films will just give you a blanket grey. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, if you're going to go up in a plane and shoot down towards the ground, brilliant, this will help you identify where your neighbour's trees are. But more importantly, of course, that ability to separate green tones will make a huge difference if you're going to shoot landscapes from the ground, not necessarily from above. So if you're looking at a landscape that has very subtle contrast for most black and white films, on Washi Z it's likely to pop a lot more. Lomig recommends using a dark red filter with it, which is a good landscape tip. You'll have heard this before for black and white films, in particular though for this one, because then the sky will turn a lovely, lovely, really super dark and you'll get this amazing detail in all of the vegetation, all of the landscape beforehand. Lomig also says that it's quite a flexible film. In fact, so flexible that when he had his wedding, he chose to load disposable cameras with Washi Z and leave them on the tables for the guests. Of course he did. In fairness, that's probably what I'd do if I owned the machinery and equipment and talent that Lomig does. And he said he chose this one, A, because he thought it would look really cool and fun, and also because it can cope with the simple settings that a reloadable disposable gives you, i.e. flash on or off, that's it. So it's ISO 400, so it starts at a pretty forgiving place anyway, but can then flex very well and give you a great offering. The combination of the fact that it's pretty forgiving, the fact that it has great tonal separation between very subtle greys, means that Lomig can recommend it highly for, quote, overcast British weather, which I think is a very fair dig at our system, especially at the moment where I'm recording this at the very end of October and it is pretty grey and miserable. But load up this film, whack on a red filter, aim it at those subtle greys and you'll be amazed at the contrast that you'll get. Of course, in bright sunlight, that will be quadrupled the contrast, but even on a relatively flat day, this is a film to grab and go. So Wonderbox subscribers, this one lends itself quite naturally to a recommendation. When you're out and about on your walks, when you're going to maybe go and shoot some landscape and you look at the forecast and it is grey and miserable, do not panic, pick up Washi Z, load it, grab a red filter if you have one, an orange one if you have one, or just live without. And then make sure that when you're aiming at things that look pretty flat, pretty grey, do not worry, this film will do the best it possibly can to add a little bit of extra punch. And if you want to take it the other way, when it is particularly contrasty already, dial that up to maximum to have a lot of fun. Customers are very positive about it as well. We've had customers talk about how it produces a lovely, crisp negative, and another customer has said that in their experience, pulling it slightly, so shooting at ISO 200 rather than 400, gives you a little bit more detail in some of the shadows, which leads to good results. Definitely worth a try if you're at that level of experimentation testing with films. If that feels a bit too much, then you don't need to worry about it. You know that this film will be able to cope very well in a simple point and shoot with few settings. It'll be forgiving. Or pop it in a more premium camera, get to grips with it, add a filter, and make the most of it. All up to you. I look forward to seeing your results. As always, if you've shot this before, drop a comment below, let folks know what you thought about it, share your images in whatever form you wish, Instagram profile, a Flickr album, your own website, anything that will help us all learn and grow in our understanding of this film and many more. That's it from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again next week.